Alright, welcome back to the channel everyone. It's the Reluctant Gringo back again with another video, and I had to make another video. I usually don't do another video like this during the week. I usually do one, but there's so many little news stories coming out that I figured we gotta comment on them. Some of them are really important, some of them, depending on how you really care about the film. So the first one we really want to talk about is Frozen. And why is that important? Am I a Frozen fan? No, never seen it, don't plan on to, but for Disney, Bob Iger finally got the bright idea that, you know what, we gotta make Frozen 4. Frozen 3 is coming, Frozen 4 is going to be in the work, and really, what better way to save the House of Mouse than to bring in Frozen, probably the highest grossing cartoon they've ever had. But if they really want to be smart, if they really want to save the House of Mouse, you got to call in the mouse himself. There should be a new feature film with Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, all that. You want to see something that, you know, and they do it right, it'll be crazy. It'll be enormous for Disney. So, you know, maybe put away what they're doing with Marvel and Star Wars right now. Let's focus on what got you to the dance in the first place. But big deal there, Frozen 4 being announced that it's going to be in production. So the House of Mouse looking to make some cash and definitely making the right moves there. So you give credit where credit is due. The other big news that broke late last night, and already people were reacting to it within minutes, Pedro Pascal, the voice of the Mandalorian, whatever you want to call him, The Last of Us, all that stuff. It looks like he's going to be the new Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four film. People are a little upset about that, or they're not that crazy about that. Look, if you care about Pedro Pascal's politics, then it doesn't matter really what he's going to be in. So forget about his politics, forget about all their politics. If you think he's a great actor and he can do the role, great. You know, and then people was like, well, he doesn't look like Reed Richards, and it doesn't sound like a great fit. Listen, everybody out there who's saying he doesn't look like Reed Richards, and I'm not sure exactly what that means. I know what Reed Richards looks like, but you get what I'm saying. And to those of you who says, well, he doesn't seem to fit the part. Look, I remember in 1988 when they announced Michael Keaton as Batman, and the whole world was like, oh, he can't be Batman. Beetlejuice is going to be Batman? How's that going to work? Well, look how it's worked. So, you know, before we all, again, jump on the crazy train and start going down that path and going, he can't do it, you know, let's just remember that history, you know, shows us something different right now. The other thing with Pedro Pascal is, for me, I've seen him in too much stuff. He seems to be everywhere. Good for him. You know, you never want anybody not to get work. You know, work as much as you want, make as much. But at some point, you're going to be overexposed. And I think that might be the danger here, is that he's probably in danger of getting overexposed and not having the impact he probably could. Now, John Krasinski was a fan favorite, or the odds-on favorite for the fans that play Reed Richards. He died. People were upset about that. You're going to get Pedro Pascal. We'll see how things work out. It's just announced. We'll see what happens. But again, if you're thinking to yourself, he's not the right fit, well, they said the same thing about Michael Keaton in Batman, and look how much we all clamor for him to put on the bat suit again. The next thing we talk about is Napoleon. Now, Napoleon, I'm a huge history buff, so I know a lot about Napoleon, read about 4 or 5 different biographies about Napoleon. This movie's not going to be historically accurate. The battle scenes, for the most part, will be, but the rest of it, the love story, all that, Napoleon never fired his cannons at the pyramids. Napoleon would have found that abhorrent to do that. He was a great curator of history. He was a great curator of history and science. He had a lot of respect for that type of stuff. So the movie scene where he fires a cannon at the pyramid, that's not true. Did Josephine and him have a toxic relationship? Sure. Did she control him? No, that's all for the movie. So when you go into Napoleon, realize half of it's okay and half of it's not a story. It's a movie. It's Ridley Scott. You're trying to play up the drama, a little bit of identity politics, a little bit about, you know, man, woman, who's got the real power and all that. Listen, Napoleon was one of the greatest megalomaniacs in history. He was the emperor. He crowned himself the emperor. I mean, you got to have nuts to do that. So he wasn't taking orders from nobody, including Josephine. For what it is, go enjoy the movie. It's about 3 hours long. I've heard good things about it. I've heard it's a good movie. Not a great movie. It releases down here on the 22nd, the same as in the US, so I plan on going to see it. But that's the big news on Napoleon that's been coming out. Is that, hey, you know, it's a good movie, not a great movie. And is it historically accurate? That's kind of a half-half thing. You know, if you don't know your Napoleonic history, just like I said, take everything with a grain of salt. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is what's really important, is that, you know, sometimes I dive into politics here, and I'm going to read you a few things, but something happened with the Biden administration that's going to affect everyone. Everyone who's watching this video, everyone who goes on the internet, it's going to affect you. Now, this is called the Internet Equality Act. The Biden administration asked the FCC to basically take over the internet, and essentially in almost every aspect of the internet. And they had a vote 3-2. The FCC, the commissioners on the FCC, they voted 3-2 to do this. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's a few things here I'm going to read. I've got some things here from the office of the commissioner I would like to read. One of the commissioners who voted against it, he's a Republican, just transparency. He said, basically, the Biden administration wants to do, it reads like a planning document drawn up by the faculty lounge of a university's Soviet studies department. That's pretty damning. So what does it do? So this Internet Equality Act effectively gives government control over network infrastructure deployment, network reliability, network upgrades, network maintenance, customer premises equipment and installation. That's right. So the government now, whatever equipment you have for your internet service provider, the government now controls. They can come in and tell you what to do with that. That's not all. Their government is now in charge of speeds, capacities, latency, data caps, throttling, pricing, promotional rates, imposition of late fees, opportunity for equipment rental, installation time, contract renewal terms, service termination terms, and use of customer credit and account history. That's a lot. They're not done yet. They're also in charge of mandatory arbitration clauses, pricing, deposits, discounts, customer service, language options, credit checks, marketing or advertising, contract renewal, upgrades, account termination, transfers to another covered entity, and service suspension. So they oversee all that now. And what does that really mean? I mean, when you dig into it, now Kamala Harris came out and she gave a speech, and this is all about equality for her and for them, saying that they want everybody to have the internet. Of course, we want everybody to have the internet. Well, there's an easy solution. Build the internet. Just build it. Pay for it, build it, but you don't got to own it. This is basically the government's going to own the internet. In no uncertain terms. They're not going to say that outright, but in fact it is. The release goes on. For the first time ever, those rules would give the federal government a roving mandate to micromanage nearly every aspect of how the internet functions, from how ISPs allocate capital and where they build, to the services that consumers can purchase. I want to read that again. From how ISPs allocate capital and where they build, so the government will tell the internet service providers where to build. So if your internet sucks, but they think you're not the right demographic, you're not going to get improved internet. That's the way it goes, right? And the services that consumers can purchase. Well, that sounds like content control. Actually, that is content control. So, yep, they're coming after the internet. And then from the profits that ISPs can realize and how they market and advertise services, so they're going to put a cap on profits, which is basically a cap on capitalism. That never works. It sounds good in theory to people who think that that's a good idea, but when, like I said, look at Venezuela. To the discounts and promotions that consumers can receive. So again, how are they what discount do I get? And what's the determination of the discount I get as opposed to somebody else down the road? How are they determining that? What is the determination? Because I make enough money, or maybe I don't make enough money? Is it the color of my skin? Is it my sex? Is it my gender? Is it my fluidity? Or I don't know what you want to call it. What is it? What there's no standard here. They don't give a standard. It just said you have the total freedom to do this. It's basically central planning. It's purely right out of Stalin's playbook. And if you think I'm being over dramatic, again, if you know me, my background is in politics and history. Trust me, it's straight out of strategic planning in Stalin's handbook. It goes on to say, the administration has needlessly blocked and delayed new broadband infrastructure builds. Fiber and cell site components are laying fallow in warehouses and lay down yards across the country due to the government's failure to remove regulatory red tape. Basically, the internet would be a lot better if the regulations weren't there. Basically, the internet providers can't put in the new stuff that they want because there's so many regulations clogging up the works. Permitting reform has gone nowhere, and the Biden administration is preparing to waste additional taxpayer dollars through this multi-billion-dollar Internet for All initiative by pursuing extraneous political goals at the expense of connecting Americans. Basically, this is the Internet Neutrality Act all over again. Look at Ronald Reagan. You like him, you don't like him. He said one of the smartest things ever in history. The scariest thing anyone can say to you is this: I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Smartest thing he ever said. Because that is the scariest thing, right? They wanted to help us with healthcare. They wanted to make it more affordable. Is it more affordable? No. They want to help us with personal freedoms and keep us free, so they enact the Patriot Act. And they keep upping it and adding to it. Do you feel more free? No. And now there's the Internet Equality Act. So I'm guessing it's not going to be that equal. I'm guessing we're all getting ready to get screwed. So hopefully this gets challenged. Hopefully this goes to the Supreme Court. Hopefully somebody does something about it. The news ain't covering us. They're too busy with Israel. They're too busy with the Ukraine. And guess what? Those are important issues. Those are important stories. But here's what happens when they have us focus on things that are far away and have really nothing to do with us. They're taking our freedoms. And things like this happen. And so we need to pay attention. I would encourage you, write your congressman, write your senator, call them up, give them a letter, give them an email, inundate them, tell them, listen, this is going to change. Obama tried to do it, and he did do it to some degree. Trump came in, he ripped it to shreds, got rid of it. Well, now they see their chance to put it back in, And there's an election coming up in a year. I wonder why they're looking to control the content of the internet with an election coming up within a year. Make of it what you will. You're all gonna have your own opinions. I'd love to hear your opinion. Drop it in the comment section below. If you think I'm wrong, you think I'm crazy, you think I'm a nut. I know I wear a mask and maybe you think I'm a nut, but if you think I'm a nut, let me know. If you think I'm right, let me know. If you think this is government overreach, let me know. If you think it's equal and it's all in the name of fairness, let me know that too. So this is a big deal. Beyond all the entertainment news we talked about, all that stuff really doesn't matter. This is the important stuff that we all got to know, that we all got to be aware of what's happening as it's slowly, our freedom on the internet is being taken away from us. At least that's how I see it. And that's what I got. I think those are the stories that we all got to know. I think all the entertainment stories, again, those are all fun, but this is really important. I think everybody needs to know what's going on. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for future content, and check out the other videos on my channel. And with that, I will hope you all have a great weekend. And from south of the border, I'm still your reluctant gringo. Salud and al huevo.